Next up is Blazing Samurai, which is a co-production between a couple of studios, Cinemation, the Hui Brothers, and Mass Animation. And it'll be distributed by Open Road Films in August 2017. Open Road is the same company that distributed Toonbox's The Nut Job, and they'll also be distributing The Nut Job 2, as I said 2 rambles ago, I believe. Anyways, I actually find this one to be interesting because it's a little similar to the other recent All Animals worlds that we've been seeing in animation. I mean, that's always been around in animation, but we saw it quite a lot this year, with Kung Fu Panda 3, with Zootopia, with the upcoming Sing, with Rock Dog. So this one is inspired by Blazing Saddles, and Mel Brooks himself will have a hand in it. He'll actually do one of the voices in the film. So, an animated adventure comedy based on one of the greatest comedies of all time, but of course, Blazing Saddles being an R-rated movie and all, it's not going to be like Blazing Saddles, but it's going to be inspired by Blazing Saddles, so I think some good could come from this. I think the premise is interesting, though. The story revolves around a scrappy young dog, Hank, who dreams of becoming a samurai and fights to save the town called Kakamusho, from becoming a litter box of a nefarious feline warlord, Ikachu, who unveils his grand plan to get rid of the inhabitants. Now, Samuel L. Jackson is set to play a character, an old cat warrior who trains the dog to become a samurai. So, basically, Blazing Saddles meets samurai stuff, sort of Seven Samurai, which will later be remade as The Magnificent Seven, but mostly a Western, but with cats and dogs, and it just sounds so bonkers that it has to work. It's one of those animated movies, it's one of those movies where the premise just sounds so silly and sounds so over the top that it has to work. And from what I've heard of the film, I read up on this a few times back when it was announced, and I thought, this actually sounds like it has potential. And again, it's cool to see newcomers coming into the field, and hopefully the script and the writing and whatnot is okay. Like, it's actually really good, and it takes advantage of how silly the premise is. Again, it seems to be set in an old animals world, like Zootopia, like Kung Fu Panda, like Robin Hood, like all those movies, but it's focusing on a dog town taking on an evil cat. It's really silly sounding. Again, it's unabashedly silly sounding. Hopefully it takes advantage of that, and we could have a pretty memorable movie on our hands here. Again, it is inspired by Blazing Saddles. That alone is enough to pique my interest. Anyways, there's not much to say about that one other than what has been reported, but again, the premise, the idea, and the fact that it's inspired by Blazing Saddles, it could be something pretty neat, if done right. Moving on. September 2017, 22nd to be exact, is when Warner Animation will release Lego Ninjago. And Lego Ninjago, I'm not quite too sure about that one. It's obviously being made because Warner's wants more Lego movies because of how well the Lego movie did. And I think Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are still producing or are executive producing. This one is going to be handled by a different team. And that team consists of Charlie Bean, who's directed TV animation before Tron Uprising, Powerpuff Girls. I think he worked on the Powerpuff Girls movie. A couple other things, but he has a TV background, and it'll be written by Kevin Chesley, Dan Hagman, Kevin Hagman, Brian Shukoff. The Hagmans worked on the Lego movie. They worked on Hotel Transylvania. They did story for both the Lego movie and Hotel Transylvania. So hopefully it has the Lego movie's appeal, what made that work so well. But here's the thing, with all these Lego movies, and there's more scheduled beyond this too, there's the Lego movie sequel, which is going to be great anyways, but there's other Lego spin-offs, planned, like this, like the Lego Batman movie, and also the Billion Brick Race. These are all spin-offs, and as cool as they sound, too much of them could possibly, it could possibly feel overdone, because the Lego movie was so much of a good thing that if any of these spin-offs are just good, they have that Lego movie vibe to them, but they aren't as good as the Lego movie, it could feel like overkill, or maybe not. Maybe all these spin-offs will be pleasant diversions that I'll want to watch again and again. I'm looking forward to Lego Batman movie. What they're showing of that looks genuinely good. Fun. I'm not sure about Ninjago. I mean, we haven't seen enough yet to really say or anything, but it could be good. If it's a nice send-up of the toy line and the TV show itself, that could be fun. But really, Warner Animation and Lego Group, where is my theatrical Bionicle movie? Moving on. Lionsgate will be releasing the My Little Pony movie, October 2017. October 6, 2017 to be exact. I can't really say because I've never seen a single episode of MLP Friendship is Magic. It just, I don't have much of a desire to watch it. I'm sure it's good. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about it. I understand why it has. I'm not one of those people. Like, I totally understand why people like the show. I mean, I'm not going to make fun because, you just don't effing do that. To me, it just doesn't really appeal to me much. I mean, maybe one day I'll sit down and watch some of it, but I've never really had the interest to watch it. I mean, I know who's behind it. I know it's Lauren Faust and all them, but still, I don't know, it just never had my interest. I'm sure a lot of people are not happy with me for saying that. I'm sorry. The movie could be decent, even if by the time it comes out and I still haven't seen the show, it could still be decent for what it is. I mean, it's gotta be better than the one from the 80s. I can imagine it being something special because the right people are behind it, and it's gonna be 2D, right? Because everywhere I've gone, I haven't heard anything about it being 2D. The only sucky thing about this is, it's probably not going to do very well, because Lionsgate has shown how inept they are with distributing animation. After Shaun the Sheep movie, after things like Norm of the North, they're probably going to dump this movie. They're going to put little into the marketing, and no one's going to know it's out, and another 2D film dies at the box office. Yeah, I don't see it doing all that well, but I can see it being a decent film, if not a good film. I can't really say. I've never really watched MLP FIM. Next up, Illumination's take on Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. How the Grinch Stole Christmas is one of my all-time favorite Dr. Seuss stories, and I adore the 1966 animated special based on the book, done by Chuck Jones. I love it. I love that. I love the special. I just love the Grinch. The Ron Howard film from 2000, I have a slight nostalgic connection to because I liked it when I was young, but looking at it now, I think it's pretty bad and downright insulting in many ways. So now this leaves this Grinch, which Illumination is doing. They'll be releasing it November 10th, 2017. Benedict Cumberbatch is going to voice the Grinch. That's an interesting choice. I'm actually looking forward to hearing what he sounds like as the curmudgeon. And the first still they released of it, the character design itself, it looks very close to the Seuss original, the original illustration. And it also has hints of the Chuck Jones version in there too. I always liked Chuck Jones' design of the Grinch. So, my biggest problem, well, here's why I'm skeptical. Illumination made the Lorax, and I didn't think the Lorax was very good. I thought the Lorax was mostly just candy-coated noise, and it was very unsubtle. It had very nice animation, but it was very unsubtle. It, I think, missed the point of the Dr. Seuss book. With a good environmental story, and the Lorax, the original book, is no different, you gotta be subtle about these things. If you're gonna do a cautionary tale, you gotta be subtle about these things. You gotta make the reader or the audience, think about their actions or think about things. But the movie got it so wrong by being so on the nose about everything. And, putting modern stuff in there and the pop cultural references and having the characters act all modern, it wasn't really all that good. It was well made, it had good animation, there were some moments that were fun, but it was mostly very mediocre, and it's just, Dr. Seuss deserves better, but maybe Dr. Seuss shouldn't be stretched, into 90-minute works. Horton Hears a Who is the only one that, is kind of decent. That was made by Blue Sky. I hope, and maybe I'm asking for too much, but I hope that Illumination at least gets the Grinch right, or makes something that's decent. Something Horton level or higher. Just something that respects the book, and the filler that they add to, get it to a 90-minute runtime actually, works. I hope that's the case. I know that's a lot to ask for because Illumination's track record is spotty at best. I think the only good film they've made, as I've said in previous rambles, is Despicable Me 1. The rest ranges from middling to meh. Well, we'll see. Well, maybe Pets will be great. Maybe Pets will be good. Sing looks like it could be good too. The trailer for Sing just came out recently, and I was actually very impressed with the trailer, so maybe, just maybe. But yeah, Illumination's new take on the Grinch. I'm gonna wait till I see more, but for the time being, I'm cautiously optimistic. The Grinch is one of my favorite Dr. Seuss stories, and I want to see a better movie based on that. Then again, if it's not very good, I'll just stick with the book and the Chuck Jones special.